Hello my dear learners, welcome back to online learning platform of Shri Basava Public School. I hope you all are fine at home and doing well in your studies. I am here with another session of class 7th textbook Honeycomb where we are going to start another interesting story chapter 7th which is called Fire, Friend and Foe. Yes children, we are going to see in today's session this chapter Fire, Friend and Foe. So let's start this chapter with an animated part of the explanation.
Fire, friend or foe? This lesson is about how fire can be both useful as well as dangerous. Fire was a mystery to early humans, but we know that it occurs due to a chemical reaction. When the oxygen in the air combines with the carbon and hydrogen in a fuel, energy is released in the form of heat and light. This is called fire. The particular temperature at which a fuel begins to burn is called its flash point or kindling temperature. There can be no fire without fuel, oxygen and heat. Fire is both useful and dangerous. We use fire to cook food, keep our houses warm and generate electricity. However, fire can also destroy lives, houses and forests. Fire can be controlled in 3 ways. The first way to control a fire is to take away the fuel. For example, if a car has caught fire, it can be controlled by moving away any nearby fuel containers. The second method of controlling a fire is by cutting off the oxygen supply. For example, throwing a blanket on fire prevents more air from reaching it. The third method is to reduce the temperature of the fire below the flash point. For example, spraying water over the fire reduces the heat. However, we should not spray water on electrical fires or oil fires. Before there were firemen, people would form human chains and pass buckets of water to put out fires. These days, trained firefighters handle all kinds of fire. They know how to put out various kinds of fires, rescue people, and administer first aid. However, fire is so important to us that it is worshipped in many parts of the world.
So children, I hope you enjoyed the animated part of the chapter Fire, Friend and Foe. Chapter 8, textbook Honeycomb, class 7th. So now let's start the explanation through the picture. I am not going to read out the paragraph, so you have to listen it very carefully. Children, in the first paragraph, earlier man, human being, when they started to live on earth, for them, they were not knowing much about the fire. What was fire? But they have seen the fire in the form of lightning, in the form of volcanoes. But the usage of fire, they began to use the fire by himself. And they were knowing that it is very powerful and it is also dangerous. When they saw the destruction, when they saw the causes of fire in the forest, then they realizes the dangerousness of fire and also few usages of fire. And it was quite frightening for them. In the second paragraph, actually fire was for earlier it was a puzzle for everyone. But actually the fire was a chemical reaction which combines when oxygen combines with carbon and hydrogen in a fuel. That time the result what take place, that is considered as a chemical reaction or called as the fire. When oxygen combines with carbon and hydrogen in a fuel, what takes place, that is called fire, or the energy which comes out in the form of heat or light, it is called as the fire. So children, the fire, in this third paragraph, they were talking about the things what are required to produce the fire or to make the fire. Fuel is very important and oxygen is very important and heat is very important. Fuel will be considered for example for fuels are wood, petrol, matchstick, cooking gas and coal. They are the examples for fuel. When fuel, oxygen and heat combines, then only we are able to make the fire or produce the fire. These are the examples of fuel. And oxygens come in the form of air. That's why it when we blow on a smoldering paper, it is a kind of paper which is used to make cigars, that when we blow on it, that's why it started to flame. Okay, and we can't expect these fuel who are lying on ground without giving them heat to burn. Yes, we can't expect. Fuel cannot burn by its own. It needs heat to catches the fire. Then only that's why we are using the matchstick to light the fire. And every fuel, whatever you are seeing on the screen, every fuel has its own temperature to begin to burn. Has its own temperature to begin to or to start to burn. So this temperature is called as flashpoint or kindling temperature of the fuel. Now in fourth paragraph, they have said that fire is a good servant. When it is fire is a good servant, but it is a bad master. Yes, children. The meaning of this sentence is, when fire is under our control, when it listens our orders, then it is very good servant. But when we give the authority to it, when it start to do on its own, then it is a bad master. It it causes big disaster in the life, in surrounding of us. So that's why it is a bad master and good servant. When it is in our control, that time it is good servant. When it is not in our control, that time it is very bad master and it causes big disasters. In next paragraph, we are going to see the uses of fire. We uses fire to warm our homes, to warm up ourselves, and also we are using fire to cook the food. On the other hand, we are also using it to produce the electricity. These uses of fire are good. They are useful to lead our life in a better way. On the other hand, if it gets out of our control, it can causes big disaster around us. It is very dangerous if it is out of control. Every year we have been listening or watching in televisions or newspaper that the fire causes big damages. The homes or buildings or apartments were burnt, and the vast areas like forest were also destroyed because of the fire, and hundreds of people were burnt, were killed and also injured. So this happens when it is out of our control. It can cause big damage in around surrounding of us. So if we have to be careful when we are using the fire. So children, in the next paragraph, they are talking about, we are going to see that how the three things very important to produce fire. Those are oxygen, fuel and heat. How these three things are very important to make fire. In the same way, children, three ways are there to put out the fire or put off the fire. Let's see what are those. We can take out the fuel. Yes, first way of putting out the fire is taking out the fuel from burning place. If we do it, then fire cannot be spread, and at that moment itself it stop burning. If we take out the fuel, main ingredient or the material to which was helping to burn or to spread, if we take out that, then the fire lie at that place and it will not spread. Now, what is the second way of putting out the fire? Let's see. The second way of putting out the fire is to prevent the oxygen. How oxygen is very important to make fire. In the same way, if we stop oxygen to reach the material of burning, then it can't burn. It can't continue to burn. For example, how to prevent the oxygen? By keeping or by covering the fire with the wet sack or a blanket, damp blanket or a sack. If we does it, then that blanket will prevent the oxygen to reach the fire. Then it is possible to stop the fire. If we succeeded in preventing the fire, oxygen to reach the fire, then it stops. And also we can use carbon dioxide. Yes, it is a kind of a chemical. Carbon dioxide also we are using to extinguish to stop the fire, and it will also not allow to oxygen to reach the burning material. Children, third way of putting out the fire, remove the heat. Heat is also important, as we know that heat, if we give without heat, it can't burn. So if we remove the heat, then it is possible to put out the fire. For example, if we blow the candle, then candle stops burning. In the same way, if we take the flame temperature to down, then it can't burn continuously. In the same way, we can also put water, we can also spray the water on flame or a kindling point or a flash point. Then also it is possible to take the temperature below. For some object, some material will not take the water. We are not supposed to spray the water on them. Those are the fire which causes by the electricity. Yes, for that we should not spray water on it, because it is very dangerous. And also one of the thing we have, that is, as I said, if we want to take temperature down, we have to spray the water. If some fires cannot take the water, some fire cannot be extinguished by the fire. Those are the fire which caused by the fuel or petrol, especially liquid oil, that cannot, we are not supposed, we can't control the fire or take the temperature down with the help of water in that way. Then what we have to do, instead of my explanation, children, for this liquid fire which causes by the liquid, I am going to show you a video. You just enjoy it, listen it very carefully. It is very important how to put out the fire which happened because of the liquid which cannot take the water. So here is the video of the
Bearded Science Guy here, and today I'm going to show you how to put out a grease fire. If you're ever cooking and find yourself with a flaming pot of either fats, oils, or grease, there are a few things that are vital for you to know. The first one, and perhaps the most important, is under no circumstances are you to pour water on the grease fire. Water has an extremely high specific heat, which makes it really good for most fires. However, in a grease fire, the water sinks to the bottom of the container, where the water is vaporized into steam, catapulting the grease into the air, where it gets access to oxygen and causes an enormous fireball. Another extremely dangerous situation can arise if you try to move the pan that's full of flaming grease. And that's because if the flames cause you to drop the pan, now all of the grease suddenly has access to the oxygen in the air, where it will combust into an enormous fireball. So now let's go over a few things you should do whenever you encounter a grease fire. Covering the flames with a lid or another large pot will cut off its supply of oxygen and allow you to turn off the heat and let the grease cool down. Another strategy would be to take baking soda and spread it over the fire until the flames go out. One last strategy would be to use an ABC fire extinguisher, which would put out a dry, flame retardant chemical and work similar to the baking soda. Thanks for watching Bearded Science Guy. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing on YouTube, or check out some of my other weekly science videos.
So children, I hope you understand how to put off the water, how to put off the fire which caused by the liquid. So now let's see in the last paragraph of page number 116 what is given. See children, here they are talking strictly about the fire which caused by the electricity. Yes, we should not put off the fire which caused by the electricity with the help of water, because if we do it, then there is a possibility of getting a shock, electric shock, or the person can be killed. So while extinguishing the fire which caused by the electricity, that time instead of using water we have to use the carbon dioxide, a chemical which helps to extinguish the fire of electric. Okay, next children, in page number 117, the government is spending billions of rupees to take under control these kind of causes before happening itself. So they are trying to find out the new ways to prevent fire from happening and getting out of control. They were trying very hard. They are spending lots of money to prevent the fire causes, because if it happens, then many of the people, animals, and it is going to be take big disaster. Okay, so government is spending lot of money to prevent the causes of fire or to take under control the fire. And also, nowadays people are well educated. They know everything about the causes or destruction, what happens with the fire. Not only this particularly, everything. People are well educated and well known about everything. So before constructing or before doing anything, they will be well planned. They were planning well and executing in a great manner. For example, constructing a building. So they uses the materials which are very safe. Children, in the next paragraph, we are talking about the earlier days. That those days there were no fire brigades. So how the people were putting out the fire? Let's see. In picture, you can see that the people were standing in a line and they were taking water from the pond or well and spraying on the house which is burning here. So this way is very useful, and it was happening in earlier days where there were no fire brigades or firefighters. Firefighters it means fire brigades. So now we have fire brigades who are well skilled, who are trained in putting out the fire, and they have lots of equipments, tools to put out the fire, as well as they are well trained in first aid the people who burnt or who were suffering from the smoke of burning. Okay, so they carries the equipments all with them, and they were very skilled to put out the fire. They know how to save the people and how to take under control the fire with the help of many equipments. So children, after that, last para is talking about the fire discovery. The search of fire is the fire is very helpful for the humans to deal with the nature in a better way. And also fire uses in many parts of the world as if it is a worshipped as a glory, because we celebrate many of the festivals with fire. We celebrate the customs festivals with the beginning of fire worshipped. So children, and also they are talking about that fire is indeed a friend, as well as we know that it can causes a big disaster or dangerous if it gets out of control. So children, I hope you understand the explanation of the chapter fire, friend and foe. Thank you so much for watching this video, and take care of yourself.